What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Round 10 AFLW Game Day Squad Show, brought to you by the Game Day Society and AFL Fantasy Fanatics. I'm joined by Bales again. Bales, how you going?
Yeah, I feel like I've just been watching some soap opera, so like soap drum, whatever it's called, with the AFL trade of the AFL men's trade period just wrapped up. So that's why we're doing a bit of a later one tonight, and plenty of deals falling through, and clubs not trading players that clearly don't want to be there is an interesting one. Yeah, so interesting one. But we're here to talk about some women's Aussie rules on Game Day squad, which is fun. So I guess I'll start off with how we went last week. So
Yeah.
starter 30th for the week, not great. I feel like starter I struggle a lot. Like put the same team in I do in classic, just different rarities, but I seem to not quite get it done. So interesting one there. Classic ended up coming 20th for the week, but most importantly through to the next round of the Classic Cup. So guaranteed All-Star card, which is very, very nice. So very, very happy with that. And then Challenger 23rd and Champion came, I think it was 15th. I feel like that's my position every week in Challenger. Come 15th, get the 2-3 play unique packs and everything like that. But yeah, in Classic, third for the season is a bit disappointing. I've slipped a couple of spots. I'm only 12 points behind second, and what is that, 124 points behind first. So still very much a chance to finish on top. But yeah, disappointed to drop a couple of spots. But yeah, we moved to next week. How was your weekend, Mark?
Overall, the weekly rankings were pretty disappointing considering how I'd been going. Starter finished 33rd when I was going into that competition as the season leader. I was trying a new thing where I just play it safe for the round, if you remember, just doing the conventional picks. 33rd, I've dropped to second, so that's going in the bin. I'm only 5 points behind first still, so it's not an issue. But I think playing safe is just everyone's playing safe, so you're just gonna fall back. Classic 17th for the round. It's in 5th overall, but again, importantly, through the cup. Sorry, Jonty. We're messaging through the week, and I think I got in his head a little bit, or he got in his own head, to be fair. And he was, it came down to the last game, and Harris needed to get 70 something, I think, which probably expected to get normally. So he made a few, risky shuffles to kind of play it safe, and then that fell through, and Harris didn't score it. So I snuck through where I probably don't deserve it, to be honest, but we go on. Challenger 20th over, for the round, 18th overall, and Champion 8th for the round, 7th overall. So sitting pretty comfortably in the top 10 for 3 of the 4 comps, which I'm quite happy with. All right. So
Do we have
move on to what we
no,
sorry.
Just quickly, did we have the matchup slot for the Classic Cup? Like I looked before and I couldn't find the matchups anywhere.
I haven't actually seen them. I think Tom jumped the gun a little bit and put them out with a few mismatches.
Well, we weren't on there. Me and you weren't on there when we made it through. So I think there was just a bit of an error with that. So I guess we'll find out. I could see while we're recording, right, and have a bit of a gander to see if they've released. But we'll continue with the some of the talking points from round 9.
Yeah. So these are like every week I kind of put through some brief things that I took from the round. Going to round 10 now, it's kind of, we know basically what to expect mostly, I'd say. But the top one there, which may have cost me a little bit, is playing it safe probably isn't the right play, especially at this end of the season. Even if you're, ahead, even if you're in a comfortable position trying to hold on to where you are, you still need to kind of be making those smart picks. Otherwise, you'll drop down pretty quickly. Point 2 there, Woodland. Didn't pick her because Window was back in, and that was devastating because obviously Window went out early in the first quarter, I think it was, and didn't play the rest of the game. So Woodland again turned into a great pick.
Tough matchup as well. I looked at the matchup against Brisbane and thought, well, Window's there. I know that Dowry and Lamb are out, but I thought Woodland against Brisbane, I just don't know if she's going to have a great score. And, of course, she has a high score of the season and has 25 touches. So, Yeah, the window one was unfortunate that she got injured so early and was a pretty bad injury. I thought there was going to be a lot more. Well, it was still fairly bad in the end anyway, right? Concussion and fractured cheekbone. I think there might be surgery as well with that. So not good for window because she can't get a clean run it. But it just meant that Woodland had another good role, and I think she's probably a lineup lot now for the remainder of the season. I'd imagine.
100%. And on that, window might be a sneaky good pickup late this season for next season, because with a full preseason and hopefully going in through a full season, I think that will be one of the probably top picks, and likely not to lose a position change as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, next point there, which is potentially a controversial one now, but Gay could have been the best defender for the season if they had a full season. We'll talk about this with the Essendon game, but there's some queries around whether they'll be going into the next round / the rest of the season. Well, I guess we'll chat about that later. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Next point there, top 3 rucks now kind of sit as a potential there. Going into this round, I was kind of confident with just the top 2. But Schultz is now, with the rucks, there's only like less than 1 point between their averages for the season. So, we've been looking at Wales as probably ruck 1. Had an underwhelming week, but nothing to be concerned about. But it does mean that, everything's tightening up a bit, and Schultz is not the third risky pick that we might have kind of seen her as before. And then the last one there, which is mainly just a personal one, is Rowbottom's just teasing me. Because if you don't know, I have her prize card from a couple of seasons ago. And I just haven't been able to play her all year because, it's
her and Gardner. Rowbottom and Gardner are sort of... Gardner's fine now because you're playing her and she's scoring well, but the start was her, and now it's Rowbottom.
Yeah, but I think Rowbottom's probably a justifiable not start, but...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Gardner, though. Anything else you took from round 9?
Probably the only couple of things is that obviously there's only, I think, one dog that we're going to be touching moving forward potentially, and she's not even a lot being in the ruck. But like looking at the other ones, there's like a few teams that like I don't love having players that are part of not just their team but the matchups. Like the Dogs are one, GWS seem to be another that don't have big scoring games either their own side or against them. Just quickly ripping through the games here before we get to all the previews. Disappointing scores from a lot of defenders. Probably the other big one, like Maeve Chaplin, low score. Tia Lucas Rod, low score. Even Sarah Goodwin, lower score. Charlie Thomas, low score. Like, there's a lot of low scoring defenders this week, which was disappointing to see there. And then, probably just the only other one is probably the injuries, right? It's obviously you mentioned Maddie Gay it's sounding a lot like she could be shut down for the season, but there's no confirmation yet. She hasn't been ruled out this week, but she was TBC on the injury report. There was a flare-up with her ACL that I don't know if we're sure if it's the same knee that she had the ACL strain from. Chloe Malloy's out this week with a back injury, so back stiffness, I think they said, so she'll be out for a week, but back injuries can be real fiddly and a bit troublesome, so that's something to watch. And obviously Piper Window for any of those that were maybe thinking of playing her in the forward line. So a few injuries to come out of round 9, but let's have a look at round 10.
Yeah, and I've just got a comment here with potential matchups for the Cup from Mel, who is basically GameDay squad admin. Should be working for him, really, the amount of work that she's doing in the background. Now, I think she's just subbed the 2 of us in for the 2 that were incorrectly in then, which is who we both knocked out of the Cup. So it looks like I would be up against Tony's Legends. And who have you got there?
Ocoa Park FC. So Tony's Legends 9th for the season in Classic, and then Ocoa Park is 7th for the season in Classics. Obviously, I'm 3rd and you're 5th. And we got who we got there? So El Potatoes, are they in the top 20? I thought I saw them before, but maybe not.
What a run if they're not, to be honest, to keep going.
Yeah, El Potato's not in the top 20 there as well. I know Skipper's obviously is number one. So there you go. El Potato's up against Skipper's, who's currently first overall. And then we've got, was it Here We Go, who's sixth, and then Womanizer, who's fourth. So that's a good one as well, 4-3-6. So it's a good matchup, some close matchups this week in the Cup. So this is the furthest I've gone in any of the Cups that GameDay Squad have run. So hopefully we can keep going.
Yeah, for sure. But let's just jump through to the first game of the round. We have Port Adelaide and Hawthorn. So this is going to be probably the big rock matchup of the week that will be pretty exciting to watch.
And I think you only pick one as well.
Yeah.
One of the other main rucks has got a very good matchup. I think it's very, very hard to split. You look at the matchups, they're not good for either. And both have been, Wales had a bad score last week. I think Shots had a bad score earlier on, but both of them have been very good across the season. So obviously we'll go through them in our squads, but who are you backing? I'm personally just backing Lucy Wales just because I feel like she's taken that massive step. And Schultz has had a massive step as well. Like both of them have gone from being, Lucy Wales being a pretty good premium ruck to, we had her as number one as late as last week. And then Schultz has gone from being a rookie ruck to a solid ruck, and now in that top sort of top three in the ruck. So I think it's very, very difficult to pick between the two. I'm Wales but
I'm Schultz just at the moment. But
it's an interesting one. It's probably the one pick this week in my squad. I'm not sure where I'm going to go.
Yeah. So my worry with Schultz is that she goes big when she can bully the rucks. And that's probably why her average is sitting a bit higher than is probably, I don't know, you would expect maybe, because when she goes big, she goes massive when she doesn't have much competition.
I guess she just. Oh, sorry, you go.
Oh no, I was going to say Wales will be able to hold her own against Schultz.
Yeah,
so
that's what I was going to say. I don't think Schultz will bully Wales, and the thing I like about Wales is that she does get back into defence and take those intercept marks, and Port do sometimes just kick it blindly and don't really look for an option. They just try and get them over the back. And I could see Wales getting a couple of intercept marks there. So I guess the thing is that both these teams aren't huge, high-scoring fantasy sides either. So it's going to be interesting to see. The way it probably goes, well, I think Hawthorn will win. So I'll back Wales. That's probably where I'm going. But it's a really, really tricky one because I think that's probably the main talking point, right? Because you're looking at Woodland is probably locked into our forward line. Lucas Rod, they're locked into our defence. We've got some decent periphery options like a Laura Stone I've been impressed with in that midfield role. Aileen Gilroy was disappointing last week, but she is an option still. So there's some options there, but I feel like that's probably the main one. I think the big talking point is probably the ruck battle, which is going to be very interesting to see. But I think we've got is it double header on Friday?
Could well be, actually.
I believe it is a double header this Friday night.
Yeah, and I've just had a message from Mel. Sorry, I've again forgot to remind everyone about the wheel spin at the end of the episode. So make sure you're getting in the chat, commenting, asking questions, answering questions, whatever you want to do. Just get involved. If you get involved, you'll put your name on the wheel. We're just going to crack open 2 packs again like we did last week because that went surprisingly well. We got a lot of cards out of that. So hopefully we can keep that running forward for everyone, especially coming into the last few rounds where these players are going to be crucial, really, to keep you up there. But yeah, one other player that I have quite enjoyed watching for the last few weeks is McDonough, I think, in the forward line. I feel like she's probably been the consistent Hawthorn forward for me, like sitting between 70 to 90 most weeks, which most of the other ones kind of fall to that 40-50 score occasionally, where she's just kind of at least had that that floor there, where you can pick her, might not go that 100+ score, but you're pretty confident that they'll kind of at least, take a few grabs and at least have a few opportunities.
I mean, she doesn't come off the ground either, right? She plays 100% game time every game. I think she's come off once all season. So yeah, I do like her as an option, as a bit of a pod in the forward line.
Now, we were talking last week, I think, Hawthorn came up against Gold Coast, I think it was, and we were looking at potentially how many Hawthorn forwards we can fit into that forward line. How many did you run in the end?
Just the one. So I just had Gilroy. I only had a Goldstone, so I played her in Challenger, I think it was. So pretty happy with that. But probably should have backed Stone in over Gilroy with the midfield role, and I would have been pretty happy with that. So, but yeah, just the one for me. And apologies for anyone that's watching along as well. Bloody hay fever is getting to me, and I hate spring. I absolutely despise spring. It's like the weather's all over the place. We're still getting some rain spurts. Still getting some hot weather, but just make a decision whether be hot or be cold and get rid of. I hate pollen. Very, very annoying. But anyway, we'll press on.
Yeah, no, all good. Now, actually, one thing before we do press on, Stone getting midfield time. Port Adelaide conceding lots to midfield.
Yeah, I like her as an option. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that there's still. She doesn't. That was a high score of the season on the weekend, so there's not a massive ceiling with her. She's not going to pop a 130. I don't think. I'd love to be proven otherwise. I don't know if she's going to go absolutely massive. So I think that they're like you're looking at the other options like your Goldsworthys, your Hams, your Hotters, Two Goods, all those options. Woodlands, they can pop a good, really like good score of like a 115, 120 on their day. I'm not sure Laura Stone can do that potentially. So, yeah, I don't currently have any Hawthorn forwards in my forward line at the moment, but I've certainly had a look at like a McDonough and a Stone.
And one final one actually in this game. Surprising number of people to talk about in a game who we don't normally play that many from these teams. Hawthorn tend to give up a decent amount of points to defenders compared to their average. Ella Heads dropped off everyone's radars a lot this season. Kind of transferred into the new team. We thought she's going to have a decent role. Hasn't really had that. But is there a potential to kind of maybe jump on her this week? Or just no?
She's a pod, but probably not for me. Port aren't a huge scoring fantasy team, so I probably want to limit my players really to probably a Woodland and a Schultz as the two. I just don't know. Like Heads is an option, right? She's got a ceiling. She can put up a score on her day. The defence, I know they were poor last week, but we've got some really good options, and it's hard to fit another player in. Like I'd almost prefer a Charlie Thomas who hasn't had a big score and has just meandered around that 70, 75 sort of scoring in game day. Scott, I'd rather her just because I know what I'm going to get and there's a chance of a big score. Whereas I feel like Ella Heads game to game, you might get a big score, but you could also get a 30 or 40. Like we've seen a few of those, so I'm probably not looking there. But better matchup, you could potentially go there if you want a real pod.
Yeah, no, that's fair. We'll jump through to the next one. We have West Coast and Geelong. Now, let's just continue talking about Thomas. Pretty, like kind of almost snuck under the radar how like mediocre her scores have been. I think just because she's carrying the name, she's been consistent for us for a long time. Are we at the point now where we just have to cut it? Well, I guess you said that you'd be happy to have it because you're going to get those 70 scores, but are 70 scores enough?
I think with a couple of injuries, I think they probably are. I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm pretty happy with 6 defenders this week. It's choosing that 7th one for me I found a bit difficult. And Charlie Thomas is currently my 7th defender. But I don't love any of the other options, right? Like Shelley Heath, she's back, but she's coming off a hand injury. She tackles a lot. That's a bit of a concern for me. Bree Conan's playing a lot more of a defensive role. I'm probably not looking there just with the ceiling not being high. Cambridge McCormick's playing a real sort of lockdown tall defender role. I don't want a part of that at the moment. And then obviously Maddie Gay, I'm assuming she's out. But if Maddie Gay plays, then she'll be my defender for Thomas, and that'll be fine. And I think that'll be a pretty common 7. But I've got Thomas there for the time. If she takes kick-ins, she still is a fine option. I'm pretty happy with there as well. The one player I'm actually really keen on this week, if you want to go as a pod, and I want to talk about her now because she made my pod list for this week, but I want to talk about her now. Lauren Wackfer is someone, if you want to go for a pod this week in the ruck, Lauren Wackfer is the ruck you want to go for. It's a plus nearly 15-point matchup for rucks. I think it's the best matchup across all the fantasy at the moment.
It is. Yeah.
As asterisk here, if Liz McGrath comes in, then don't worry about it. It's not an option. She's going to shit, right? But if Liz McGrath stays out and it's just Wackfer and Lakai, I can see Wackfer having a really good game here, and she would be a real pot if you're looking there. How do you feel about the Geelong forwards?
I feel okay about them. I just don't feel like there's other players that I feel more confident playing. I think if you're happy with a 70 in your forward line, sure, go for it. But I'm just,
I've got Maloney currently in my side, and I feel like my F7 spot again is another spot where I'm not 100% sure who that's going to be yet. Again, I've got 6 forwards I'm happy with, but the 7th I'm not sure. I've currently got Maloney there as my forward. I've probably got Maloney and Thomas there purely because I know probably what I'm going to get from them. They're pretty safe players, and there's some players I've thought about, but they don't necessarily have a matchup where I'm like, yeah, I want to target that, and I don't want to get a low score put on my head. So it's a bit of a tricky one.
Is it Maloney over Parry at this point?
I think so. Just I think Maloney's the more game-breaking forward. Parry's had an amazing year and a good option in matchups. So there's been times where you can easily play both. I just think Maloney's just got the upside of that big game. And Parry's had some big games this year, but do you know what I mean? I know Parry's had some big games and she's capable of doing it, but I feel like Maloney's probably going to have a big game more. I'll hedge my bets more with Maloney at this stage than Jackie Parry.
Yeah, no, 100%. And just looking at, they're basically averaging the same thing. Parry's kind of had the bigger. Oh no, in fact, Maloney's had the bigger ceiling, but it's just had a few very low scores as well. So I agree. I think Maloney would be my call if I had to pick one. I just don't know if I am this week because it's same with. I think we've basically had the same thought process. We've both got the D7 and F7, which we're kind of up in the air about. Everyone else seems pretty comfortable. So,
what about the star mids for each team? Roberts and G Prez. Is any for either here? Like for me, this does seem like a game. Perth night game over there. Could be a Roberts a big game here, but the matchup isn't great. Like merely minus 3.5 points. On the other side, West Coast is nearly minus 1 point. So it's a neutral-ish matchup, but G Press Pro doesn't have that massive. Well, she does have the ceiling, right? We've seen it before, but this season we haven't seen that massive ceiling. So, like, I've currently got someone like a Monconti ahead of those two. Is that probably where you're leaning as well?
Yeah, I mean, Roberts has burnt me 2 from 2 now. I picked her last week as a safe pick. Just managed to crack over 100 points, or crack 100 points. And last time I picked her, she went, I think, 70 something. So I worry about the floor of Roberts, and it seems like an unpredictable floor because, these are good matchups where I'm picking her, and she's just not really kind of. It's almost like she likes the contest, or she does better in the tighter games. Whereas when the matchup is good for her, she kind of almost drifts off a little bit.
So what you're saying is you're going to play Rowbottom and not play Roberts. Rowbottom's going to have an average game. Roberts is going to have a ceiling game. That's probably what's going to happen.
Just wait till you see my lineup because you might be spot on there. But yeah, Pressparkus, I'm a huge fan of her. She's like incredibly talented player. It's just that her contributions don't always correlate with score because
she'll be the best player on the ground, but she'll have 110 fantasy points. Whereas Ash Bradell, Jazz Garner, Ebony Marinoff, who all coincidentally playing the same game this week, if they're the best player on the ground, they're going 140, 150. Like they're having a massive game. It's just G-Press just doesn't get those marks right. It's just the marks that we need to tick, and they'll come in time. I think she's got the speed and the game breaking ability that she'll get free for marks and take those contested marks eventually. But just at the moment, that's just not quite there. There will be a game, though, where she has 4 or 5 marks, 10, 12 tackles, and she goes 150. It's just predicting when that's going to be, I guess, is going to be the question.
So I think it was a a couple of seasons ago, she was doing that relative. Like she was almost.
Well, she had a massive game against, I believe, against West Coast a couple of seasons ago, where she actually had like a 160 in game day squad. I'm just going to quickly double check that just to make sure I'm not just talking out of the rear end. Let me have a look. So 2024, not massive. Funny enough, last year, Ella Roberts, this is just from I don't have the game day squad score on me, but Ella Roberts last year, 127 points. Maloney, 115 points with 6 goals. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens. And that was over in Perth.
I feel like West Coast are in a bit of a different position this season, maybe, though.
Yeah, that's a good point. They're certainly not. They're a lot better team there, and I think G Prez in 2022 had a 110, so it was good score, but again, probably not that massive score.
Yeah, no, that's fair, and that's probably it. Really, I put Cleaver up there just as a bit of a point of difference because looking at the last few scores, she's gone 73-88. So, again, they're slightly better than Thomas scores, I'd say, but I don't think they're.
I think that Thomas is. I still have got more faith that Thomas will turn some form around. I don't think she's going to be that. Like I was probably thinking pre-season, if we thought Maddie Gay was going to be out for a lot of the year, it was probably going to be a 2 Lucas Rod at 1. Then you've got some other options there. Was probably and it's probably like you're looking at maybe Serene Watson, Charlie Thomas is the maybe 2, 3, 4. Sort of ranking, whereas I think Charlie Thomas is now down at that probably 6, 7, 8, 9 sort of range there. So which is interesting. So hopefully she can have a good score this week. If I play her. If I don't, then I hope she doesn't go too big.
Nah, fair. All right, pushing on. Melbourne, Sydney. So Melbourne last game of the round, which effectively tied me up in the cup, which was very thankful for a few things there. Sydney, I've still got Malloy on there because I made the slides before. She's actually a midfielder on that card, I've just noticed. But Malloy obviously out this week. Was she in contention though anyway? Because she's had a lot of kind of subpar scores in the 60 kind of range now, which I think is probably a no for me. But
probably the lower scores and now the back injury probably correlates a little bit, probably makes a bit of sense now that maybe she's played hampered for a couple of weeks potentially. I don't know that for a fact. Just pure speculation, but I think that Malloy I was probably still going to play just because again that F7 I wasn't 100% sure on, and Malloy's got the ceiling. So obviously with her not there, Montanahan was I thought fantastic on the weekend. 2 goals, 25 touches. Again, just was the marks and tackles. It wasn't huge. We've seen her take marks and tackles. So, like, Montana's going to be a star, right? We knew that from the first year she got drafted. She had some injuries. Available to us as a forward. She may still be a forward next year, depending on the split. I don't know what the split is, but she still spent a bit of time forward. So, but yeah, Ham's a lock, I think, every single week. And
yeah,
I think I'm still back. I don't know about you. I'm still backing in Maeve Chaplin. Lower score last week. I think they stuffed around with her role a lot. I think with Heath out, they thought they could play her as a mid, and I think she played forward in the last quarter. But I thought it was a bit weird from Melbourne. I thought she'd been so good as a defender, as that quarterback sort of player for Melbourne. I think Heath will come back in this week, which I think means she goes in the mids. I think Chaplin goes defence, and I think she's fine.
We actually had a question for this game very early on, in fact, before we went live, about Hanks, whether, she's a good option this week. I think she's probably a good option most weeks, really. But the harder games, she seems to be playing a bit better, I'd say. So,
yeah, I just don't. Hanks is a great player and he's a pod for weeks. I just don't see her with the same. She reminds me a bit of Georgie Prasparkas. She could be the best player on the ground, but she's the player that will have 30 touches and a lot of handballs. And not, she could have 30 touches with 20 handballs, 10 kicks, have maybe a couple of marks, couple of tackles, and score like an 80. Like I could see that happening a bit for Tyler Hanks. Whereas you look at, like, again, I've mentioned those top mids, and you can include like Bowers, Gardner, even Monconti as well. This season has been tackling a lot more than previous years. They've just got those high ceilings when they're playing some really, really good footy. So Hanks is an option, but not for me, particularly in a tough matchup.
No, that's fair. I think Chaplin will stay for me. I can't remember if I've got her in this version of the side. I think I probably do, just because I wasn't sure about D7, so I kind of had to keep her in there to not have 2 question marks over my side. But yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, I just didn't really get it. Is Shelley Heathers back? Is that something that you'd consider, or do you think with the hand injury, relying on tackles that you probably wouldn't this week?
No, I would wait till I see some what it looks like for me.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Yeah. One other one for Melbourne, a couple of forwards that we've kind of had on the outskirts. Harris and Zanka. I think, is Harris out this week? I saw.
I think it's a TBC, but I think there was a check for like a rib fracture, so I'm probably looking at that. I don't think she'll play, but I just think that these are now the tough matchups that Melbourne are going to have now. They've got some tough ones to come, and Zanka was very inconsistent, and that mid roll had diminished, and even Taylor Harris's role before the injury last week, she lost the backup ruck role. So I don't know what that was about as well, if that was just about some management. But if Taylor Harris did have that backup ruck role again, I want a piece of that. Like, that's a role I want. But if she's going to be just a deep forward and relying on kicking 3 or 4 goals, I'm probably less inclined to play her.
Yep. And another one there was McNamara. Now, I probably would avoid, similar to Hanks, but maybe even slightly less ceiling there. I don't know, what do you think?
Same as my Dana Finn stance. I know Dana Finn had her first poor game for a long time last week, but Eliza McNamara being a winger, they're just too up and down. There's only one winger I trust in all of fantasy, and that's Errol Goulden in the men's. And he's a different type of winger, right? He goes inside and everything. Whereas McNamara and Dana Finn as the examples here, they play on the outside. They don't go in for CBAs, or maybe McNamara might have been in for 1 or 2, but they're just pure wingers. And if the ball's on their side of the ground, they'll score well. If it's not, they'll go missing. So I just don't love wingers. If we had a winger position in GameDay squad, then McNamara and Dana Finn would be probably some of our locks week in, week out. But
yeah,
I think with midfielders, I just don't think they're at the same scoring level in fantasy than some of those other big dogs.
Yep. And another question here from Jonty.
A lot of questions this week.
Yeah, sorry, Jonty, for knocking you out of the cup. Morfitt out this week. I don't mind it if you're looking at just skipping over that first game and not playing Wales and Schultz.
Morfitt is an option if you're going to sort of bank on Wales and shots cancelling each other out and just probably getting anywhere from 80 to 100, and you want someone different. But there's probably another ruck, depending on the ins and outs for that matchup that we'll talk about soon, that I'd probably rather this week. But Lauren Wackfer as well, I'd arguably take a punt on if Liz McGrath's not named as well. So a couple of options I'd probably prefer, but Morfitt scored well again last week. Melbourne's not an amazing matchup, but we saw Mimstrom have a pretty good game. So Morfitt definitely a shout, particularly if a few teams don't go the way that we think they're going to go.
Yeah, and Morfitt's only scored below 100 once since round 2. So
so very good.
Yeah, missed that game obviously, but still pretty consistent there. But then so are the other rucks. The rucks probably, apart from midfielders, the rucks are the most consistent players, I'd say. So yeah, tricky one. And Gardner, just lock if you can.
Yeah, great, good matchup here, I think as well. So yeah, lock for sure.
Yeah, sweet. We'll push on. Who's next? Oh, this is a big one. So North Melbourne and Adelaide.
But the one thing that I can't believe, so there's good and bad news on the Crows injury front. The bad news is that Chelsea Randall's list is, she's now been confirmed out by the Crows, and just worries me a bit. That's now 5 weeks of missing from concussion, and I normally, in my own head, go, if you miss more than 3 weeks, that's not a great sign, but they've said that they're being cautious, so I'm hoping it's just precautionary for For Chelsea, obviously, we one of the best players in the AFLW and has been since the start. But the positive note for the Crows, Caitlin Gould's listed as a test, and she was listed as 3 to 4 weeks last week. And I saw her at the Crows Eagles game walk past me, and she had one of those, like the black hand sort of cast type things there. So interesting. If she plays, it'll be with a glove, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Crows rolled the dice in a matchup like this there, because the Crows are struggling with targets there. I wouldn't be playing Caitlin Gould this week if she was named. That definitely not playing with the matchup. But I feel like this is a matchup where we probably back in the stars to still perform well. So like you're back in Noffy, you're back in Riddell, you're back in Garner. They're probably the three. But Carney, you're probably back in as well. She's one of the defenders I feel a bit safer in. I think this will be a game where she's not managed as much.
Yeah.
But Sarah Goodwin, now so looking at both on your screen, and they're both in the mix for me, and I'm tempted. What do you think with these two? Alistair Locken, best game of the season on the weekend after missing a couple of weeks with internal injuries, comes back and doesn't kick a goal, but still has their best score. And then Sarah Goodwin, a little bit down last week, but lower game time. Maybe were they resting her for a bit of game management for this week? If with Randall not being back, that role's probably still going to be pretty good. Goodwin's the person I'm considering for Thomas potentially. What are your thoughts on those two?
Yeah, I've had Goodwin in for the last few weeks, and I think I'm fading it this week just because the scores are sliding. And like you're right, it could just
Matchup's not good.
Matchup's not good, but then this matchup also isn't great, especially if just having midfield time. Kearney, I think Kearney's just going to be in for me purely because I think, well, defensive matchups are good against Adelaide because I guess the ball's down that way a fair bit. I think she'll step up and probably hit that, 90 to 100 score. I don't like nothing crazy, but what you'd be happy with in a defender. O'Loughlin, I don't know. Like, I really want to play her because she was like a lock for me last season, basically all season.
Yeah,
probably for most people.
One of those top forwards. I find this matchup. I think it's like a lot of negative matchups. Like North are a negative matchup for every position. Crows are negative in the rucks and forwards, but good for defenders and solid for mids. But particularly lately, they've been better for mids. I feel like this could be a game that you look at the matchups and go they're tricky, but it could also result in a high-scoring fantasy game as well. Like I could see there being some big scores. More meaning those mids go 110s, maybe some defenders go 90, 100 plus, but maybe a forward or two pop a good score. So it's going to be an interesting one. But to Silver Pigeon's question, I don't think I'd play both Carney and Birch. I don't know if I'd back those two in if North Melbourne are going to be up by 5-6 goals in a good matchup for them, and they can chip the ball around to each other. I think in the Crows matchup, I think it's going to be quite a fast game. Like it's going to be back and forth. I think North will win. I'm not saying the Crows will win. I would love them to, but I think we're realistic here in saying that I think North are going to win. They've won 21 in a row. But I think it'll be a good game, just with the Crows falling maybe 3-4 goals short. So,
and with I guess Adelaide giving up so many points to midfielders in the past. Last week they kind of reined it in a bit.
I think they knew that they would. I think Rowbottom and Gardner had big games, but the Crows won, so the Crows didn't have to fix it, right? Whereas Conti played really well and they lost, so they had to change it, right? So they made a conscious effort to make sure Ella Roberts was quiet. So I'm not saying here that you're locking in Garner and Riddell. We're not taking them out, but yeah, just interesting to see. Do they go well? Do they score quite well? Because I think in the past, if you look at every matchup, the three on the fantasy app, AFL app, if you look at who scores over 100 points, it has been Marinoff, Garner. I keep saying Gardner. Marinoff, Garner, and Riddell. They're the three that score over 100 points each time these teams play. Like I'm looking at the previous matchups here. I think Noffy's gone over 120 in every game she's played against North Melbourne. But like last year in the finals, Noff went over 100. Well, Marinoff, Garner, and Riddell all went over 130 GameDay scored points. In the regular season game, Marinoff and Garner both went over 130. Riddell went over 115, I would imagine. And then the matchup before that, I'm not going to go much further because you sort of get the picture. Again, Marinoff, massive score again. Riddell and Garner, solid scores. So yeah, I think they're all locks.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Yeah, I think that's about it for this game. Lock your midfields in, trust them. Carney, maybe. Everyone else is, don't know.
Nervous.
Well, that's for me anyway. But pushing forward, GWS Fremantle. Um, I don't mind some of these GWS forwards this week. That's a little bit of a pod.
I
Evans,
just don't trust GWS
yeah,
personally. Goldsworthy I trust fully,
yeah,
just because she's a good player. Outside of that, I don't know. Like Cambridge McCormick for me is crossed out. Like you're pretty
yep.
keen on Evans though. I know this week is a bit of a
Yeah,
unique, just because obviously the matchup is good. I think I'd back Evans in if I thought Giants were going to win. I just don't think they're going to win this week. So that's probably why I'm not
especially
looking.
after looking at Fremantle last week, how they turned up, I think.
That was good. But on your Tig out is going to be interesting to see how they go back, because Tig, I think, was still had an impact, even though she didn't have a massive fantasy game. But yeah, just be an interesting watch.
Yeah, no. And with Fremantle, there was a bit of concern around Bowers and Strom potentially missing. And I've been checking the website.
Oh, it was about suspensions.
Yeah,
but nothing for suspensions. Nothing.
No.
Which is not surprising. I was a bit slightly concerned. I was like, does either or both get suspended? But they didn't. Both locks.
Yeah. And
particularly with the thing that surprised me, and I don't know if this surprised you, but Giants being a red matchup for rucks is something I don't understand. Is like, have they played rucks that aren't the big rucks that score big? Because I
tell you this.
look at this matchup, and I look at Strom absolutely dominating here, like against O'Dowd and Fleur Davis. I just think she'll go massive. So I think she's the lock ruck this week.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't look too much into that. I'm just checking with who's actually scored what against GWS. So, yeah, they haven't played any of the big rucks apart from Morford went 126. The next best was Wackfer 99, and then apart from that, they played Edmonds 69, Frederick 74. Yeah, no big names.
Yeah, so and I think Frederick, that was the game that Barnett was a bit banged up, and she played that was Frederick's sort of main game in the ruck. And I think Alice Edmonds, when she played Giants, was one of her worst games I've seen her play. But then she played one of her best games last week. So, yeah, I think it's an interesting one. It's probably a bit of like a false number, which is interesting at this late part of the year. But
it could be a little bit of a not a red herring, but like people might look into this a bit too much and not play Strom. But yeah, Strom has to be a lock this week.
Yeah, unless you want to go maybe Schultz and Wales, if you just think they're just going to go head to head and shake hands at the start of the game and just go massive, maybe back those two in. But yeah, I think Strom, you're still backing in.
Yeah. Is there anyone else from this game at all?
Megan Kaufman's someone, if you want to take a bit of a punt in the forwards, that she's had some good scores. I think for her win, so I think Kaufman could go quite well, but obviously there is a floor there, so that's little bit concerning. But I think they're probably the main ones there. We talked about McCormick, we probably wouldn't look at. So I think next game.
One person actually, in the midfield maybe we don't get a game just for the lack of spots, but Gab Newton.
Yes, yeah. I knew as soon as she says one pun, like, okay, no, Gab Newton's someone for sure. Like, I think if you want to go for a pod, she's someone I'd rather than Tyler Hanks. Like, I'd rather she's got the ceiling. I think she's someone you could definitely look at. Like the matchup, I think is not too bad. I think she can go quite well here and maybe double up. It would have been good to double up last week with Bowers and Newton, so maybe do it this week.
Yeah, because 3 of the last 4 weeks, Newton's gone above 134. So that's like solid. Like, yeah, there was a 96 in there, but still, that's good.
Yeah, and I've got Ash McCarthy prize cards, so like if you had a good card of Ash McCarthy, she could be someone as well you consider. But yeah, I think that Bowers is the main one that you're looking at. Maybe Newton and McCarthy is a bit of a pod.
Yeah, no, for sure. So jump on Collingwood. Oh, sorry, Carlton, St Kilda.
Yeah, this is not a relevant fantasy game.
No.
Unfortunately, yeah. Serene Watson is the one I've got.
Mm-hmm.
Like
What about
Wardlaw you could have a look at. I think Harry Cordner matches up well against Wardlaw.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'd be a tough game for Wardlaw there. But I think besides that, this is probably one of those games where you're probably not going to have much. Like I think Serene Watson, you're putting in there. You're locking her in. I think she had like a 4-point third quarter, two handballs, and that was it. Whereas she still
Mm-hmm.
managed a pretty respectable score, especially with defenders last week. I think you're putting her there. The only one and I was going to say as a pod, like, could you look at a Jess Good in a good matchup? Just because I think Harrington's been playing a lot more forward, but I think I'd still rather more
Mm-hmm.
for maybe an Edmonds, Schultz, Wales, and Strom. I think so. You're probably not looking there. Is there anyone that you're looking at? Like, I wouldn't be shocked if Dana Finn had a better score this week, but again, she scored a pretty low one last week, so that's just the up and down nature of a winger.
Yeah, I don't mind Patricios coming
She was good
through.
last week. Who would have
Yeah,
thought she'd play well in the midfield? Like, she's a midfielder and she played well in the midfield.
crazy. Nick Del Santo, what are you doing?
Mate,
Yeah,
you're Saints.
I know. That's why I'm probably giving her a little bit more than looking into it a bit more than it deserves. But like 135 last week, looking good and actually getting involved. If that
Yeah.
continues for the next few rounds, I feel like Carlton's a decent matchup for
I think she's one of your
that
best
kind of thing.
mids. I think
Yeah,
like, I just don't know why they muck around with their role on the wing and half forward. Like, just put her in the midfield. Like, she plays well when she's in there.
yeah. But apart from that, I don't think Wardlaw. Maybe I think I've currently got her at F7 just because of probably the attachment being a St Kilda fan and also just kind of saved me last week as well. But yeah, it's tough. I think you're right. This might be a bit of a fantasy irrelevant one. But yeah, based on the Wardlaw coaster, this week's coming up. Oh, it's down week. Yeah. So
Yeah.
every week, Wardlaw's
It's
gone up and down.
literally been up, down, up, down. So yeah, I think it's a bit of a tricky matchup. So I think I'd probably fade this week.
Yeah.
Like, if you're
Fair.
tossing up Ward or Maloney, for example, I'd go Maloney.
Yeah. No, that's a good shout. So Essendon, Brisbane. So I've got Gay on the slide here. I think you mentioned before, but if she is named, are you playing her?
She's named Dogwell, yeah, just with the upside that she's got. But I just reading into it, I can't see her playing this week, and I think there's more of a chance for her being shut down just with Essendon not looking at finals this year. So that's the worry, and I guess you could probably go, well, if she's playing with a bit of a question mark, she does play. Do you just not play because it is like, that's the thing, right? Like, I'm thinking about it now and going, well, if she does play, I may still fade her anyway because the Brisbane matchup's awful, and she's playing with a bit of a question mark. So, no, actually, I'll rephrase that. I don't think I'll play her even if she does play, just with the matchup and the question mark. But I don't think it'll matter anyway. I think that decision will be made for us. But I think that there's a few locks here, and I want to see if you agree. So, Courtney Hodder is looking like one of the most electric players in the AFLW this season. I'm watching her and going, like, I watched her last year and there were games where she didn't get involved. Whereas I thought this year, there's not more than 2 or 3 minutes where she doesn't do something. Like, she tackles like a mad woman, like, just tackles anything that's moving, kicks goals, takes pack marks when she's the smallest player on the ground. I think she's a lock. And Sewer Pigeon, you reading my mind because I was about to mention Tuggle. I think Tuggle's a lock no matter the matchup. So Brisbane aren't a great matchup at all, but Too Good is too good. Like, she's a great player. She goes into defence. If Maddie Gay's out, that's probably even better because I think that means that even more so that when they're conceding goals, she'll go in defence. She had CBAs as well last week. They get her around the ball when the ball's not getting down there. So her floor is extremely high. Her ceiling is high. I think she's in there. And I think Jade Ellinger is back into the form that we probably thought pre-season she was going to show. Had a bit of a quiet patch middle of the year, but last 3-4 weeks she's been really, really good. So do you agree that well,
Yeah.
Hodder and Too Good are the locks probably moving forward, and Ellinger at least this week is someone that you've put in.
Yeah. I think Ellinger might be. Well, if she's not in the team on my screen, she's in my team currently. One person who I think has to be a strong fade now is Nesgowan. Since round 4.
Maybe next. I think after next week, their matchups are a little bit better for mids. I think you can play her, but not this week. Not against Brisbane.
No, since round 4, hasn't scored above 115-ish. Like, kind of, that's a long time to not put up a big score as a midfielder.
Yeah, and when they're precious spots as well, and a lot of them are already taken up by, like as we said, we got Marinoff, Garner, Riddell, Gardner, and Bowers. That's 5. I think that those 5 are locked in every week. I think the mids are quite boring this year, and it's that 6th spot. But for me, I don't see me changing it off of Mon Conti for the remaining 3 games, just with the matchups.
No, that's fair. Yeah, but other than that, Brisbane, you're right. Hodder, Ellinger, that's about it. All right, we'll keep rolling through.
Oh no, sorry, I was just fixing up nose. I don't love it being on camera, so I thought it'd turn on camera. I don't mind one other player as a bit of a pod.
Yep.
I feel like I want to save that though for our pod list when we get there.
All right, save it then.
Yeah.
I feel like we've just been putting our pods out there all episodes, so let's keep some in the bank. Next up, Collingwood versus Richmond. Now, you've already kind of given away, but Conti is just like career best form in an incredible career.
Like Conti's one of my favourite non-Crows players in the AFLW. I love watching her play. Like just her agility, her movement, her game-breaking ability. Like it's great. And with the fact that she goes Collingwood into who have they got next week? It's another really good matchup. Like I don't know if it's Port. That they've got next week. I know they've got a good matchup. I'm just looking at the fixture, but they've got Gold Coast in the final round. I know that for a fact. But their last 3 games are very, very good. So for me, I think Conti's probably a lock for the rest of the year. I've just got up here. No, they play Freo, and they're a good matchup for mids as well, right?
Yeah.
So Conti for me is a lock for the rest of the season. I think in GameDay squad is that 6th midfielder. I think Barnett, not a great match against Richmond, but she's, besides that one low score, she's been pretty good.
Yeah.
For me, though, I don't know about you, but outside of those 2, against probably one where it's not huge fantasy relevant, I think Ellie McKenzie's playing some really good footy, and I think she'll be a fantasy player that we look at a lot in the future, but just not as a mid. She doesn't have that same ceiling yet. Reminds me a bit of G-Prez from probably a few years ago, where could be the best player on the ground, but probably scores a flat ton.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. And yeah, Collingwood's side of things is Barnett, basically. That's about it. One thing that I do worry about Barnett, and I think the Free Kick podcast brought it up as well, is that Barnett has been a target seems to be getting knocked around every game.
Well, yeah, Pity from Fantasy Bros just put that in the chat there, saying how being a hard watch every week, and it is a good point. Like she seems to get a knock at some point every game, but I just think the role's so good. Like she's got such a good floor that I think we're still putting her in there. I think a lot of people will. So if something were to happen, I think you're probably saved by a lot of people going there. But I'm still pretty comfortable saying it.
Yeah, it always seems like she gets hit, goes down for 30 seconds, and just gets up and keeps going, and it's like pretty impressive to watch, really.
Yeah, I've got another. Probably she wouldn't make the pod list because I don't know if she's a pod necessarily, just because she's a good scorer. But Britt Bonici is someone in a good matchup. Again, you're probably going her or Conti, right? You're probably picking one of the 2 if you're going to go there, or one of the other players we've looked at. I think I'm still Conti, but if you want to go real pod, if you want to go for a bit of a pod, Bonici could be one.
No, that's fair. Sweet. And then pulling into the last game of the round, we have Gold Coast and Western Bulldogs. Now, I want to talk about Rowbottom for a little bit here, because I want you to talk me out of playing her. She's
I don't know if I can talk you out of playing her though, because you got the prize card, which obviously is the better multiplier, right? But
Mm-hmm.
so like the matchup there isn't great, and I
Yeah.
guess you could look at it and go, well, I said before, dogs are probably the one team I'll look at and go, I don't want a part of many of their matchups, either players playing for them or against them. That's my
Mm-hmm.
worry. But Rowbottom has been looking better last few weeks.
Yeah.
It's
But
a tricky one. It's probably like if you're tossing up her and Conti, I'm still probably going Conti.
yeah, I'm probably the same, apart from the fact that I do have a prize card sitting there, which could then free up a lot of other things. So even if you know
It's different for
Rowbottom
you.
goes,
For other
that's the
people out
thing.
there that don't have a prize card or an All Star card, I think you're not probably looking at it.
So
But
it's
if you've
probably
got
not
a,
great viewing for everyone who's listening to us because it's only a
this is
me
not a
decision that I
mark
have to
question.
make.
This is just a mark decision.
Yeah.
The one player though that I'm starting this week, and who would have thought? Who would have thought Gold Coast best player is actually good in defence and midfield in Neve
Crazy.
McLaughlin. So she's back. She's back
Mhm.
in our squads, and I think I still won't forgive Reece Shaw for what he did 2 weeks ago. Cost me in all other formats of fantasy, but obviously GameDay squad started to put a gold Neve on there, and then she didn't
Mhm.
score great. So I took her out last week, and she scores well, which was always going to happen. That's just how fantasy works, right? Um,
Mhm.
but she went to the midfield last quarter, and big reason why Gold Coast actually got a run of goals late. Is she back in your lineup?
Yeah, 100%. One other, I guess, Gold Coast defender, Lynch, coming in first game of the round last week. Uh, Scored well.
She did, but
Mm.
I've been fooled by Katie Lynch before.
Okay.
I know it was at the Dogs, so it's a different team, and responsibility is there. I do worry a little bit. Actually, I do want to check um, what her kick-ins have been, or what they were last week. Just because that could be something I sort of look at and go, well, if she's got the majority of the kick-ins, then that would be interesting. But then again, Neve McLaughlin back into defence last week. I would imagine that she
Mm.
probably had a decent amount of kick-ins. So I'm just getting up the Gold Coast kick-ins from last week. So Gold Coast kick-ins, yeah, no, I'm not starting. So Neve McLaughlin had 7 kick-ins, played on from 5. So that's an extra 20 points right there. Gervin took 1. Wallace Randall took 2 and didn't play on from either. And then Katie Lynch
Mhm.
and Mia Salisbury took 1 each. So yeah, I
Yeah.
thought if you had the upside of kick-ins, maybe, but I think Neve's probably the only one in defence I'll probably look at.
Yeah. Now, one other stat kind of touched on a bit last week is that right green forwards are scoring well against Gold Coast. But again, I think that's a bit of a red herring because a lot of that average is to do with Malloy and Ham absolutely destroying them in round, was it 2 or 3 or whatever it
Yeah,
was?
round 2.
Yeah. And then after that, they've only had one forward score over 100 against them the whole season.
Yeah. If you want to go for a real pod, maybe Sarah Hartwig
Mm-hmm.
as a real sort of throw out the stumps as a bit of a pod for F7, but I think I'm probably agreeing with you.
What about Wilcock down back?
She's been good. Again, the Bulldogs. Just don't love many of the options from the Dogs. The only one I probably like this week is if Lauren Bell is dropped, which I wouldn't put it past Gold Coast doing that because they've done it all year. Alice Edmonds could go massive, and she'd be big contention for my R2 spot if she's up against a Taylor Gregory and Darcy Davis. That would be something. I'd probably still go with Wales just because of the ceiling, but if Alice Edmonds is up against Taylor Gregory, I think she finishes off with the 3. If Gregory was in, she'd finish off with essentially the 3 easiest matchups to finish. Like she goes, I think she goes Gold Coast, Geelong, and then St Kilda. Like she's got the best 2 matchups, so she'll be someone that is going to be a good option to start in the final fortnight.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, again, no one from Bulldogs is really actually going to tempt me, I don't think, to
Goodnecht.
start this
Just
week.
so Daniel Hassett's asking, what are your thoughts on Goodnecht? She had a good score a few weeks ago, but back-to-back
Mhm.
pretty average scores. Is that enough for you probably just to put a line through?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I was kind of almost liking her more when Georgia Stathis was kind of doing well for us in more of a midfield role. Then it just kind of seemed like once Georgia Stathis kind of shifted around, then Goodnet kind of also was affected. I don't know. It might have just been a coincidence with the timing, but that's kind of when the scores shifted for me. So
yeah, it'd be an interesting watch. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but yeah, no, probably not. Here we go. Apparently, Rowie copped another shoulder knock at the end of game last week.
Who got? Oh, they played Hawthorn. I didn't see it, but I heard a bit. I heard that there was a bit of a knock. So
yeah, keep an eye on it. But who knows? I can't see myself actually following through on playing her based on everything she's done to me so far. But that wraps up the rounds. So, spoilers. Jump straight into my pods for round.
Who's got as the number one pod?
Round 10. Yeah. And also, I fixed up the dots for you there, Bales. I don't know if you've noticed.
Hey, yes, no, there you go.
But yeah, I think Rowbottom fits the pod call in that she's a quality midfielder with a great ceiling who just hasn't really got it together this season, but has shown that she's kind of heading in the right direction. So I like it. Wilcox is another one. Same game, talked about earlier. In the defense, but has been playing more forward in like actual games. Gold Coast matchup. Not as good as it looks on paper, but still pretty good for forwards. So I think it could potentially be an option for that D7 spot that a lot of people are kind of tossing and turning over. Who else? Heads. Kind of dropped her in early, but you talked me out of it already. I don't like good matchup for Hawthorn. That's what I'm banking on. And the quality to be able to score all right. It's just, you're right, playing in that Port Adelaide side, not really scoring that well. Evans, again, you know how much I rate Evans, especially.
I think she's an amazing. If anyone has thought, and I'm not saying that you're saying this, but if anyone out there is thinking that I've said that Evans is not a good player, no, I think she played at any other team, she'd be amazing. I just think that the Giants misuse her at times. I think she's a good forward because she's an amazing player. I think if she was off half back like she was a couple of years ago, I think we'd be talking about her as one of the best defenders in the comp. That's how much I rate her in defence, which is a shame watching and seeing her playing forward when I know she's a great player there, but seeing her kicking, like her and kicking, she would hit targets all the time. She's got an amazing kick. It does frustrate me as a neutral fan. I'd wish they played her in defence, but yeah.
Yep. And then similar to who I think you've got on there as well, Wackfer, great matchup, great potential for a big score, has been pretty consistent. Even last week in a tough matchup, still went pretty well. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got, actually, before we jump into yours, we do have Ryan from Fantasy Bros with another question.
Unbelievable. Pity, what are you doing? You're taking my thunder. Well, might as well move into my pods. I don't currently have her in there, but I'm very, very much considering Charlie Mullins as a forward this week as my F7. Back-to-back scores are pretty good. I think they're over 90. I think they might even be back-to-back tons, if I'm not mistaken.
Not quite. So,
not quite. So in the 90s.
Yeah.
How much?
91 and 80. So not as good as you'd think.
80? Really?
Yeah.
You sure?
Well, according to me, it is, but maybe my numbers are wrong.
I feel like she could. I feel like because on the apps, in fantasy, she scored in the 70s, and she had over 20 touches in both games. So I just assumed that she would have got over that. Let me have a look. So I did luckily pack a diamond Charlie Mullins this week in packs. Round 8. No, 91 and 80. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, maybe I just must have miscalculated. But anyway,
Still
I think
she's
an option against the Bombers. I like it. So she was one. Lauren Wackfer is another one against Geelong. Obviously, an amazing matchup. So I do like her. Laura Stone, I think she's still listed probably views a pod just because of not a lot of people got her and probably not a lot of people looking at playing her. But again, I think matchup is good against Port. We saw it was a positive matchup before, so I do like her. I will put Britt Benici in my pod list just because I do like the matchup there. So if you want to go for a pod, you can look at her. And then I guess with the last pod, I didn't really have like a fifth sort of pod that I'm looking at here. But if I was to put one down, I'd probably say if Taylor Gregory's playing for Gold Coast on the weekend and there's no Lauren Bella, I'd say Alice Edmonds would be in the top 5 for my pods.
Yeah, no, that's a great shout. All right, we'll push on because we're running long again because there's so much to talk about. But teams. So this is what I'm currently running. And so I've actually got Ellinger and Thomas in, who are your 2 D7s, weren't they? So who am I missing?
No, Ellinger was my D6.
Oh, right, cool.
We've got the exact same defense at the moment, the same 7.
Yep, sweet. The Chaplain's probably I think Chaplain I've got it back in.
I'm pretty confident, particularly if Heath comes back in.
Mm-hmm. Now, you might have noticed M6 there.
Yes, yeah, that's the one difference that we've got. The other 5 we've obviously got the same. But Robot, obviously, that being the prize card version in Classic, so
yeah,
and then definitely a play for sure.
Then I've got Schultz as my R2 as well, which I think we'll see your squad in a second, but based on what we've talked about, it might be a bit different. And then forward line, it's just Wardlaw probably sitting in there for someone else you might have. But yeah. Any glaring omissions that you can help me out with there?
No, because if you turn over to my squad, this will probably answer my thoughts on your squad, is that we have only got 3 players different.
Mm-hmm.
So we've only got the 3 differences. So defence is the exact same. So TLR, Chaplin, Watson, Neve, Carney and Ellinger, and Thomas on the bench. Both got Marinoff, Gardner, Riddell, Bowers, Garner. I've got Conti there, obviously on my bench there as well.
I think that's a safer pick.
Yeah, Strom and Luke. I've got Wales over Schultz, but that I'm tossing up sort of where I'm going to go there. Currently on Wales at the moment though, and then
would it be Schultz? Do you think that you'd go to?
I'm leaning Wales at the moment. I don't know if I said I'm leaning towards.
Oh no, but sorry, if you drop Wales, would it be Schultz coming in, or would it be?
Most likely, yeah. Most likely. I think I'm still picking now. There are some good options like a Wackfer. The one thing that would tempt me is if Liz McGrath wasn't named and Lakai was dropped for some reason, and it was just Lauren Wackfer as the solo ruck going in. That would I'd nearly go there. But I think Wackfer will at least be sharing at least a little bit with Lakai. So I think I'll still go Wales, but Schultz is there as well. Morfitt's obviously another one that is around the mark, but I think I'm probably going to go one of the 2 girls in the first game. And then the forward line for us is the same pretty much as well with Goldsworthy, Ham, Woodland, Hodder, Too Good and Barnett. I've got Maloney at the moment, but as Pity from Fantasy Bro said, very tempted over Maloney F7 for Charlie Mullins. So, she's someone I've looked at. There's a couple other options I've looked at as well. And Pity did bring up someone, probably could have put her in the pod list. Erica O'Shea. Been very, very good this year. And getting it done. Had probably the best game I've seen her play last week. And she's been very good this year. So that's saying how well she played last week. Definitely someone to consider.
Yeah, no, great shout and great side. Like, the thing is, our sides will probably be, like, they're so close, but then in the scheme of things, it only takes a couple of players and we'll be a long way apart in scores, just the way it's going at the moment, because everyone is, everyone has those basically 5-6 locks in each position, and it's coming down to that last one, and there's going to be so tight, and then so much variation. So
yeah,
who knows? I just want to get it over with, almost just to kind of get to the end of the season, because I'm stressed. But one thing that's going to be good to relieve some stress is opening.
Spin the wheel.
So we will spin the wheel. thank you again, Melissa, as always, for keeping track of people in the chat. Make sure you get around her because she does wonders on basically all of the official GDS streams. She's an asset to the company, really.
It's like full-time moderator type role, but also just being an absolute legend.
Yeah, just get her on the payroll, Cal, if you're watching.
I think he's overseas, I reckon, so he might not be, but maybe we'll send Tom a message or something.
Well, maybe Tom can sneak it through while Cal's away. How about that? But what we'll do, we've got 2 packs to open again. We'll do the 3-3-3, but to be honest, there's a high chance that whoever wins this is just going to get all 9 cards if they want them. So I'll make sure the sound is on. Just for you, Bales.
And Mel's also saying they want to hear the tick, 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 tick. Yeah, of course we do. Yeah, we all want the sound effect.
Yep. Beautiful. So we'll get it up. We'll ignore the ads. Alrighty. Who is...
your opponent. Oh, no.
Yeah. This could... And we're live, because otherwise it's a redraw.
So I think I've got the pack for Tony, so maybe I'm going to be strategic here and either back my co-host and take all the good cards, or maybe there's some good cards. Maybe I could be strategic to get Tony to knock you out. So I have to...
Yeah, well, I don't. I just really want to face you. Even if it's not the final, that would be...
I actually had a feeling we were going to get matched up this week, to be honest. I actually had a bit of a feeling. I'm like, I wonder if that happens. So that's interesting. So we'll see what happens.
All right. So, Tony, you get your pack. Well done.
That sounded like someone that didn't want Tony together.
How could you tell? And then...
who's that? Is that
who is it?
Oh, Timo.
All righty. So...
How close was that? I don't know if you can press done. If you press done, how close was that again? That was another close.
That was.
That's like on the. I feel like. Hang on, I've got to zoom in on my computer. Can I zoom in on my? No, I can't even zoom in on the computer.
Yeah, let's see if I can.
That. Yeah, let me have a look at. I want it. That. That's on the line, isn't it?
I think I'm giving that to Timo, to be honest. There's just a whisker
I think we got it right because the wheel was said Timo, but it's so close that you think it's wrong. But we'll give it to Timo because the website said. But yeah,
if I had another pack, I'd do it. Alrighty.
Pity just said go to the Arc. Yeah, just score review.
All right, so let's rip packs. Alrighty. Ooh. I don't mind that. Sitting 5 points behind first there, Bower Power, but we'll get. I'll do my refresh. Always forget.
What are you doing, mate? You're the wheel host, and
I know.
Hasn't even opened up his daily packs either.
I know. I leave them to. I pick my side, and I'm like, okay, are there any spicy ones here that I can maybe be tempted by? Is it fate? But all right, we'll crack open the first one. This one's for Tony's Legends. Hopefully, it's all garbage because no.
No, but I've got the power, right?
You have the power, but
and I know Tony's a very good coach. So if something really good's in here, I won't feel as bad taking it. Or maybe I'll give it to him. Maybe I want him to win. So we'll see. We'll see what's happening. There is a diamond in here, so at least it could be a legend, but we'll see.
So silver.
Oh, there's a diamond.
Silver
again. What's the bit? They're all silvers except the diamond. No, it's a gold. Silver. So all silvers except that. So
Stan it.
Silver Stan. I think she'll be useful again, just not this year.
Yeah. Someone who we're all chasing at the start of the season, Standard as well.
Just the role just hasn't been there. What's that? Brooke Smith.
Donald. Rankin.
Jenna Bruton. I reckon she played at any other team other than North Melbourne, she'd probably play in the midfield, but being at North, she's more forward. Michaela Weston.
Mm-hmm.
Kitty Skepper. Who's the gold? Lulu Field. Here we go. So who's the diamond? That's the big question. Who's the diamond?
Oh my god.
I'm keeping that. I can't.
Zippy Fish.
I cannot give that up.
Yeah, that's fair.
Cannot.
That is huge.
That is a massive pull.
That is huge in a common pack. Zippy Fish.
As the co-host, I think I have to step in here and I have to go. I cannot part with that.
No, it's your decision. This is on you.
Is it if it's my decision, I had
Yep.
normally I'm pretty reasonable when it comes to good like last week I gave away, I think was it a gold Carney and a gold Garner or Riddell.
Yeah.
I think I have to step in here.
No,
I can't not.
No, that's absolutely fair.
Tony's Legends can have all the other 8 cards if he likes. Part of me hopes he doesn't feel too bad me taking it, but pity. That's a great catch, and then the fishing. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's such a good pull.
Is Tony watching?
Actually, couldn't tell you. They were in earlier. But anyway, I'll take a quick screenshot of that.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, Tony was in before, so we'll see. I don't know if he's still watching, but yeah, Tony can have the others.
Don't feel bad about that. That's very fair.
That's amazing. An amazing pull.
All right, so jumping into the second final pack was it Timmy?
Yep.
Let's see if we can crack open another diamond for you, Bales. Or is this one mine?
That's yours.
Okay, well, nothing too exciting here. We've got silvers and golds. You can tell by the animation. So, what was that?
Who's that? That is.
It's probably just struggling to stream. Oh, there we go.
Simpson. Charlotte Simpson. Laura Housiger. Kalinda Howarth. Liv Purcell. She'll be definitely usable in the future, just obviously with the injury again this year, unfortunately. Kenzie Ridley. Taylor Gatt, she's out at the moment.
Yeah.
So who are the golds here?
We got Sanko.
Probably one to stash away. Could be useful. Aisling Reedy.
And Colvin. Okay. That's pretty
not
trash.
Not great.
I've called trash. But I think we used up all the luck in that Zippy Fish diamond from a common pack. That's insane. Actually, let's quickly go. They're in my account. I don't have to give it to you, Bales. I've just realised.
You cannot do that.
No, there's too many witnesses for that. Let's have a quick look what number we're up to, just out of curiosity, before we go. Oh, don't look at all those diamonds.
Mate, you're playing a dangerous game, letting everyone know some of your big cards.
Well, I mean, it's not helping me.
But
I feel like I've got a great
4.
Number 4 out of 100.
But because it's her first year, those are going to be packed fairly quickly.
Yeah.
I know we've only had 4 this year, right? But they'll be packed eventually, and then that's it. So, yeah, wow.
And next season won't be a midfielder, so that's
be a defender. Better. Yeah.
Huge. All right. Well, on that bombshell, we'll leave it there. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Any final pieces of advice, as always, Bales?
No, as always, just get your squads ready, enjoy the footy. Don't forget doublehead on Friday night with the 2 games back to back. But as always, at BalesDT across the socials, at AFL Fantasy Fans on X, Fantasy Fanatics on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Check all that stuff out. I think we'll be doing probably next week, I'll be doing a free agency recap with all the options for next year. So I'll be obviously talking about it from an AFL fantasy point of view, but I think it also does relate a lot to GameDay squad, right? Is that some of these players are going to be useful in GameDay squad, and maybe some players that didn't get traded won't be. So, but yeah, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the footy, and hopefully you guys go well. Where can people find you across socials, Mark, and your
as you see on Insta at GameDay_Society, X for the GDS. Oh, the GD Society. I hate that handle. I really need to change it. And YouTube, the GameDay Society. If you could, please give the video a like on whichever stream you're watching it on. Make sure you're following both of us because we're putting out a lot of content, especially in the off season. We'll be looking at a few things. We've got the Game Day Squad football as well coming out of my channel. Got plenty going on.
Yeah, back after the international break, which is good.
Yeah, it's great.
I just not AFLW rally right. I hate international breaks for the soccer. I don't think there should be. Play all those games in the off season. Like, stop interrupting our Premier League watching.
Yep. And it kind of killed my momentum as well of my who I was planning to pick, and then I just had to go back in and just look at everyone again and be like, oh, what's going on? But anyway, join us tomorrow night for the Game Day Squad football show. Can't remember the exact time because of time difference and whatnot, but we'll have to work that out with Zonald, my co-host. But yeah,